Hello and welcome to the pre-match show in association with Mick George. My name is Phil Adlam and we're here in the tunnel at the Western Home Stadium ahead of today's Sky Bet League One fixture with Swindon Town, which gets underway at 3 p.m. Don't need to tell you that if you look out the window right now, you'll see quite a lot of wet. It has been raining non-stop this morning, but the pitch here at the Western Home Stadium is in fantastic condition ahead of today's clash. So we're very much looking forward to that. Remember, you can buy an iFollow pass for today's game for £10. You can do so by going to the club website, which is theposh.com, and following the instructions right there. Remember, of course, if you are a season ticket holder, you'd have received an email this week with your code for today's game. If you get to find it, have a look in your junk. It might have gone into the junk area of the email, so make sure you check there too. We do have people here on standby. If you have any issues, please email iFollow@theposh.com. So what can you expect from today's show? Well, we'll be speaking live to manager Darren Ferguson, who will talk through his team selection for today's game. We'll also feature his pre-match press conference, which took place earlier this week, where he focuses on today's opponents, Swindon Town. We also have an exclusive interview with Flynn Clarke. Now, Flynn was called up by Scotland under-19s this week. The first time he's been recognised by his country. We'll find out first and foremost how he qualifies for Scotland, because he definitely does not have a Scottish accent. That interview is in two parts throughout this show. We'll also be catching up with club statistician Mick Robinson. Now today, believe it or not, we are currently on 3,999 league goals in our history. So somebody could go into the written history books today with the 4,000th goal. We'll be speaking to Mick about how he got involved in the process, what he's doing here today, how he's here today, and a whole lot more later on in the show. We'll also be looking back to the 2-1 victory over Fleetwood Town and the drama of those two last gasp goals from Jack Taylor and Sammy Swanich. And don't worry, if you've not used iFollow for the first time and you want to use it today, we'll be giving you a handy guide of what to look out for and how to follow the instructions. But first, on today's show, sponsored by Mick George, it's the press conference with manager Darren Ferguson. Well, Gaffer, back at home on Saturday with Swindon. The opponents obviously came up last year and a good side.
Very good. Probably in terms of the way they play is the best team I've seen this season. In terms of all the games I've watched, several. Very, very fluent, very good footballing team. Look a threat, can get goals. So yeah, listen, it's going to be a tough test, but like you just said, we're at home. We've got a very, very good home form that we want to continue and make sure that we do, really. Yeah,
Anthony Grant's obviously in their side and brings a lot of experience to their midfield, and I guess a lot of players would have played with him.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know much about him because I wasn't here when he played for the club, but he's a player that I've come across quite a lot, and unfortunately he's always seemed to play very well against my teams. He's got good experience, understands the game, so yeah, he's just one of many players they've got. I know they've got quite Bowdery at the back. I worked with him as well, a very good player. They've brought in a bit of experience with Pittman. So they've started the season strongly, and whenever you play against a team early in the season that have got promoted, they've got that momentum, they've got that confidence, so they're a dangerous opponent. But it'll be about what we do to them as opposed to the other way around, and that's how we focus always on games, especially at home. There's certain things we have to do very well, and if we do, then we'll give them a very, very tough game.
I've seen a lot of games in my time. I watched that game on Tuesday, the reserve game against Gillingham. I've never seen a one-sided 1-1.
Yeah, I was delighted with them. I really enjoyed watching it. They played the way we want to play. The intensity was there. The football was there. We knocked it about really well. We could have scored 6 or 7, 8 goals. Only ended up getting one. Their goalkeeper played very, very well. But in terms of how we wanted to play, it was very enjoyable. The players got a game that needed it. So it keeps all the other ones and the rest of the squad up to speed. We've played young Benji there in the game against Bournemouth, and also came on against Gillingham, and he's definitely stood out. So again, he's one that could come into the squad. He's really stepped up, the boy, and I've been absolutely delighted with him. So it's always nice when a younger one comes through and thinks, okay, he might give you a bit of a problem there.
Yeah, and his performance, as you say, going forward, he had no fear whatsoever. And if you're going to play in a wing-back role or full-back role, you need to be able to do both.
Yeah, and he wants to run, which is very good in that position. And he understands it. He's got to tidy up in the last third. But you could say that about all our wing-backs at the moment, that they have to improve. And they know that. But in terms of penetrating runs, running with them without the ball, defending 1v1s, he really has improved since last season. So it'd be nice to get him involved if we can. I think maybe just not there yet in terms of, because there's others ahead of him, but I wouldn't have any hesitation. I've got to be honest, he's done that well to play.
Yeah, Idris obviously got an hour, I think, in terms of his comeback from obviously being self-isolated. Is he more or less there fitness-wise?
No, I don't think so. I think he needs another. I think he'll need 90 minutes. I think that's the only reason why he might not be involved on Saturday. But again, Idris gives you options. You can play on the left, the right, through the middle. Again, it's just the last bit with Idris. You know, he does loads of good work, and in the last bit, he just might need that bit more confidence and belief, which you find with young players. But he's definitely one that, you know, I think I've said many times, I've got a lot of time for, and I think he's got a real talent. So, but for him, 60 minutes to go into a game is probably too early. Certainly looking at next Tuesday, possibly getting 90 minutes into him, and then you would think, right, okay, he's ready.
I don't want to compare any of our players to Adama Traore, but somebody who runs at pace, who's played in that position. Obviously, when he first came into the scene, his final ball was something that was letting him down. He's obviously learned to sort of slow himself down. When you're a winger or a wing back, is that the biggest challenge sometimes? Because if you're running at pace, it's very easy sometimes for the final bit to not be where you want it to be.
Well, the most important bit for any player in any position is the last third of the pitch, as an attacker or defensively as a defending. And you know, you see a lot of wingers that run with their head down and just run up and down, and in the end, when you analyse their game, actually, what have they done? How many crosses have they got in? How many goals have they scored? How many assists? And that's how I would judge a winger or a wing back. And it's an area we need to improve on. Not just Idris, but he knows what he needs to improve. We know his strengths. We have to work on his weaknesses. That's how I look at it, and certainly he's improved in the time that he's been here. He's been very, very unlucky with injuries. You know, last season he came into the team and played as a 10 at Portsmouth and did very well. And I could see something there, and I thought, yeah, he had the confidence then and the belief in himself that he was a real part of it. Then he gets a horrendous injury.
Well, welcome back to the Western Home Stadium. Now, I understand we had some audio problems on the manager's interview there with Darren Ferguson, so apologies there. You probably, if you're a lip reader, you would have heard exactly what he said. If you weren't a lip reader, you would have been essentially seeing absolutely nothing. But I can assure you that the team lineup is pretty much what he was talking about. There were no revelations other than the fact that Joe Ward comes into the starting lineup instead of Ryan Broom, and there's a couple of changes on the substitutes bench. Now, earlier this week, we caught up with Flynn Clarke, who's been called up to the Scotland U19 squad. Here's part one of that interview. Well, Flynn, firstly, congratulations, called up for the first time by Scotland under-19s. First and foremost, just tell us how you qualify for Scotland, because I can't detect much of an accent.
Yeah, my dad was actually born in Glasgow, so that's how I qualified for Scotland.
And what was it like getting that call up then? I mean, did it come out of the blue? Were you excited?
Yeah, it was kind of out of the blue, but I kind of knew that there was showing interest. But yeah, once obviously I found out that I was in the squad, it was over the moon, proud moment for me and my family. Obviously a memory that will never ever be forgotten. So yeah.
Yeah, I suppose it's interesting, isn't it, when you know, if you're not fluent in the language that you're going to play for, I suppose people have to do a little bit of work behind the scenes to let people know that you do qualify. So I guess you've had people like your agent working on that. Yeah.
So we had to send off quite a few documents over to Scotland to show you obviously proof. But once that was all sorted and that, it was quite straightforward.
And these games against England, the friendly matches, St George's Park, obviously you spent some time there already. Weird coming up against England, or looking forward to it?
Yeah, obviously me being actually born in England, when I found out obviously the friendly was against England, I was very excited. See now, it's obviously going to be a difficult game. See, no game's easy, but yeah, I'm really excited, looking forward to it.
Do you know any of the players that are actually in the squad, or is it going to be a complete turn up first day at school?
Yeah, literally like that. Don't know anyone there. So you're quite nervous, but I'm looking very forward to it.
And I guess for you, it's a combination of an excellent pre-season and a great start to the season.
Yeah, well, yeah. Obviously, I felt like I've started off very well, and obviously now I've been given this reward of obviously playing for an international team. Obviously, great feeling. So yeah.
Is it something that, I mean, you know, anyone wants to play for their country, or that's their ambition, isn't it? You get into the first team and then you want to play for your country.
Yeah.
To have that opportunity to do so within the first month of the season after making your professional debut and obviously scoring your first goal, is it a little bit pinch moment in terms of how far you've come in such a short space of time?
Yeah, obviously, like, it's all come around so quickly. Obviously, you're having a lot of games Saturday, Tuesday. But obviously, my main focus weren't obviously trying to get the call up, it's just trying to play well at the start of the season, trying to impress Gaffer and everything. And obviously now I've not only impressed Gaffer, I've obviously impressed Scotland. So yeah, it's very good.
And in terms of obviously looking forward to the experience, is it a case of cherishing and really enjoying it? Obviously you want to make as loads more appearances, but you know, you need to sort of live in the moment, I guess, and try and get the best out of it.
Yeah, of course. Obviously I'm looking forward to it. I'm just going to make sure I go there, play well, and then just create a very, very good memory for me, obviously, and obviously just a proud moment from my family.
Do you have to learn the national anthem now? Has your dad been teaching you?
Yeah, he's already sent me the lyrics through.
In terms of obviously the pre-season and the start of the season, you must have been aiming to make some kind of impression. A lot of young players will get the opportunity in pre-season, and it's down to them obviously if they take it, and there's always one that comes through. Were you sort of surprised at how well it had gone?
No, not really. Obviously, in the back of my head, I knew that I had to impress Gaffer, and obviously he doesn't mind how old you are. If he thinks you're good enough, then he's going to put you in. So that's why I thought, now once the season's fully started, just got to make sure I kick on, keep improving every day, and then just who knows where it goes.
And just finally for this part, you talked about impressing the Gaffer and all about the pathway and knowing that if you do play well, you get the opportunity.
Yeah.
Has that really been something that gives you that sort of motivation, that you're not just fighting against the wind, there is the opportunity?
Yeah, of course. Obviously, every day I look at it as I've got to try and improve myself every day. So as much as I can do what I can do, I'll just maybe try to do a little bit extra. Just anything you feel like that will benefit you in the long run. Yeah, Gaffer will notice it.
Hello and welcome back to the Western Home Stadium for the pre-match show in association with Mick George. My name is Phil Adlam. Important at this point to stress that if you tuned in earlier on and watched the interview with manager Darren Ferguson, you'd have seen his lips moving and absolutely zero coming out of it. We apologise profusely for that. Bit of a technical issue our side. He didn't do anything too revolutionary, but he did talk us through the team lineup, and there's one change to that lineup with Joe Ward coming in on the right-hand side in place of Ryan Groom, who drops down to the substitutes bench. Darren also talked about those substitutes because, of course, Flynn Clarke, who you've just watched part one of the interview with this week, is not in the 18 today. Harrison Burrows makes up the 18. He's played very well this week, both in training and also in the game against Gillingham on Tuesday, which ended in a 1-1 draw at the Mick George Training Academy. Very good game, actually. I was there. Some good football played. Posh probably had about, 8-9 attempts on goal during that game. Probably a little bit unfortunate not to come away with the victory in that particular game. So the part two of that Flynn Clark interview will be available a little bit later on in the show. We'll also be speaking to club statistician Mick Robinson, who's behind the camera at this moment in time. Don't worry, he's not operating the camera, he's literally further behind. And we'll be speaking to him about, statistics mainly. And of course, today we are currently on 3,999 league goals. So it goes without saying that today could be a big day. However, it was also a big day last week and we didn't score. So we don't want to put too much pressure on the lads today. Hopefully someone will get it, and if not, an own goal, because that would be a pretty awful way to reach the milestone. We'll be speaking to Mick a little bit later on in the show. Of course, match passes are available for today's game. You can purchase them via the club website for £10. You just go to theposh.com and follow the instructions there. And of course, if you are a season ticket holder, you'd receive the code this week. Please check your junk if you haven't seen it already. If you have any problems, email iFollow@theposh.com. And if you are watching iFollow for the first time today, we've got a handy little video for you here, which tells you exactly what to do to make sure you don't miss any of the action. This guide will help you purchase a match pass or redeem a code for iFollow to enable you to watch our game live through our website. Head to the iFollow section on the menu at the top of the website and click on subscribe. Select your chosen package. For a video match pass, click on check availability, click on subscribe now. Or if you're on a mobile, scroll down to match passes and click on subscribe for the relevant match. At this stage, if you already have an iFollow account, log in. If you do not have an account, please create an account. It's worth noting that your iFollow account is a separate account to your ticketing and shop account. Once logged in, you'll be asked to enter your payment information to purchase your match pass. If you are redeeming a code, enter this into the box and apply voucher code. You will still need to enter payment information if you are redeeming a code, however you will not be charged. When you have successfully purchased your pass, around an hour before kick-off, head to the iFollow section and click on Next Match. The link to watch live will be available here. If you have any issues logging into your iFollow account, please email ifollow@dfl.com. If you have any other issues, please contact the club on ifollow@theposh.com or telephone 01733 865 674. Welcome back to the pre-match show in association with Mick George. Now, last time out here at the Western Home Stadium, it was a very dramatic affair. Peterborough United versus Fleetwood Town. Of course, Fleetwood took the lead through Callum Camps, and it looked like they would hang on for all 3 points. But as it turned out, as injury time ticked across, Jack Taylor managed to score a wonderful leveller. And then deep into stoppage time, Sammy Schmodic popped up the winner. We thought, why not relive that day? So here are the highlights. Well, it's a good job. You didn't catch me celebrating as I was against Fleetwood Town last time out here at the Western Home Stadium because I was halfway down the stairs. But having watched that back, you can see exactly what it meant to Shoreditch scoring that last-minute winner in that game against Fleetwood. Of course, the starting lineup is now available for you to view. You can see it across all social media, and you can also see it on the screen below. So in goal is Christy Pym, Nathan Thompson, Mark Beavers, Frankie Kent, Joe Ward, Dan Butler, Jack Taylor, Lewis Reed, Sammy Schmodich, Sariki Dembele and Johnson Clark-Harris. That's one change from the defeat at Sunderland, with Joe Ward coming in for Ryan Broom. Dan goal line, Mo Mercer, Ethan Hamilton, Ryan Broom, Harrison Burrows, Fraser Blake-Tracy and Reece Brown make up the substitutes for today's game. If you go to our social media, you can see the team sheet. You can also download the official team sheet should you wish to as well. Just follow the instructions on our social media. A big thank you, by the way, to ABAX, who sponsored the rather muted manager team news earlier on today. Big thank you to them. Of course, we apologise profusely for the audio problems we had earlier on today. I probably should have cut it short, but I just thought I'd carry on in the interview in the hope that somebody was listening. But as it turned out, none of you could. But unfortunately, that is the way of a live show. Sometimes that happens. Hopefully, we'll be back to normal for next time when we have the pre-match show here in association with Mick George. Now, we've got an interview with Flynn Clark, which is running throughout the show. You've seen part one. Part two is coming up a little bit later on in the show as well. But first, we've got some adverts from our key sponsors. Welcome back to the Western Home Stadium and the pre-match show in association with Mick George. Big thank you to them for all they do for us. Now, we've got some viewer comments of today's show. I'm hoping none of them involve audio. Ross Newton says, come on the Posh, let's get a win. That's what we're looking for. That's what we're looking for, Ross. Nothing less. So thank you, Ross, for that. Dave Sackis says, good luck today, Posh. He's put a crest and a thumbs up. He's actually gone emoji crazy, to be fair. I don't know what half of them are, far too young for me. And the final one from Melanie Day, fingers crossed for 4,000 goals today. Well, not 4,000 goals today. That would be a ridiculous win. But we are on 3,999 league goals, and hopefully we can move across to 4,000. We're going to speak about that in just 1 second. I just want to give you a little bit of a mention of our match day madness in the Posh Club shop, because it's quite apt today because the weather is frightening, not in a snow way, but in a rain way. And it's also quite chilly as well. So get yourself into the Posh Club shop online and you can take advantage of some winter warmers, 15% off a selection of winter warmers today. All the details on the club website, which is theposh.com. I will be heading there straight after to see if there are any fleeces in stock. Now, delighted to be joined by club statistician Mick Robinson for this part of the show. Now, I've mentioned it a couple of times, but we're actually on 3,999 league goals. So whoever gets the first Posh goal today, provided it's in the right end, of course, will go into the record books as scoring our 4,000. Mick, now you mentioned this to us a couple of weeks ago, and we haven't scored since. But hopefully today's the day. It's quite a milestone.
It is. Posh have always been known as a high-scoring team. The first 1,000 goals, only took 548 games. Make my pigs here. Richie Barker scored at Cambridge. Well done there. We had to wait another 782 games before the 2,000th goal, and that was scored by Warrell Sterling down here against Crewe in 2006. That's right. I'll put my teeth in. Danny Crowe credited with the 3,000th goal at Bury, and that took another 781 games. We're on 643 to the start of this season, so it is quite quick. But again, the 80s were a pause time for Peterborough, as any supporter was here and knows at the time.
In terms of obviously goals, we were just saying off camera that own goals feature quite highly in the list.
Yeah, there's been 87 own goals, which if you list up the number of the goal scoring list, they're actually third in the list. But I mean, we drop them out because we don't really do that. There's actually been 429 different Posh players have scored those 3,999 goals. So if you include own goals, that's 430 people.
So there's quite a lot in the record books that have scored individually, but I'd imagine there's quite a few high in the list in terms of who scored the most.
Well, Jim Hall, obviously, 122, and Tommy Robson, the only two players who scored over 100. There's been 14 players scored over 50. Probably people can name most of them. There's no secrets there. Mackle Smith, Bly, McLean, Boyd, Price, McManee, Clark, Mackenzie, Cookie, and Madison. To be honest, if the season hadn't finished last season, the money would have been on Ivan Toney getting that 4,000th goal, but it weren't to be. In
terms of obviously your record books, and you must have an incredible collection of memorabilia and obviously incredible selection of statistics. At the start of every season, are you looking through them and saying, what could we achieve this year?
Yeah, I mean, it's an ongoing thing. You look and see if there's any notable appearance for players and that coming up. I'm going to let you know. I do also have Alan Swan. I don't know if that's a...
You're allowed to mention his name. It's fine.
So, yeah, there's always something. I mean, you can get carried away with it. I mean, funnily enough, the three goals that were scored to make the 1,000th, the 2,000th and the 3,000th are all been scored on very late on in the game. 79th minute, 81st minute and 90th minute.
So basically what you're saying to us there is don't be too disappointed if it's half-time 0-0.
Well, if it against Fleetwood, if it'd been 3,998, we would have said at 90 minutes, oh, well, we're not going to get it today. But we did, didn't we? So never give up.
In terms of, obviously, your role, you've been involved in the club for many years. Obviously, when a pandemic happens and someone who's watched so many Peterborough United games down the years, I guess you'll try and do anything to make sure you watch a game. You've got a job today.
Well, yeah, I can't get to the away games, but I have got a job ball sterilising down here. I mean, I've been down during the summer, cleaning chewing gum off the back of the seats, sweeping up, washing seats, doing anything. Because again, the people that know me will know, my love of the club. And Accrington, like I say, that brought an end of a run that went back to when Matthew Edgerton made his debut in '97 of games home and away. So it was very strange, sat on a settee watching a game. But
I suppose that's one of the things, isn't it? When something like this happens, a global pandemic happens, it kind of ruins runs like yours, and there's not really you can do about it, is there?
Well, let's put things in perspective. The pandemic is a worrying thing, and much as I love football, there is more important things than that. I mean, you've got to sort of go with the flow, and we do, accept that it's got to happen.
Last couple of questions then. Obviously, you've got a page in the programme, which is obviously digitalised. People can buy it in the shop as well.
2 pages.
2 pages in the programme, which obviously looks back at some of the games. And it's a great read because it's looking back in the club's history.
Yeah, it's funny because I do the article. I'm not a journalist, so there might be grammatical errors and that in there. And I try not just to look at the game we scored, they scored. I try and look at the things that have happened and try and make it interesting. I never get any feedback, so hopefully people enjoy it. If you don't, let the club know. If you do, let the club know. But the other thing is, if there's something you'd like to see or do, let the club know.
Let Joe Dent know. He's the editor. And ultimately, if there's any grammatical errors, it's on him. And just finally then, 4,000th goal. Let's say it's going to be scored today. Who's going to score it?
Dembele.
Dembele.
Can I just throw in there that Colchester, we scored the most goals against, 111. Swindon are actually 10th on that list with 79 goals. So we have scored quite a lot. Although, of course, that depends on games played because Colchester are the team we've played most in the league anyway. But, so we've got a good record against Swindon.
Well, you've heard it here first. Suiki Dembele is going to score the 4,000th goal. And it's going to happen probably in the last 10 minutes. Maybe if the last one was in the 90th minute and it was progressing that way, probably in injury time today. Let's hope someone does it. We'll have the interview with whoever does it, providing it's not own goals, later on after today's game. Now, earlier in the show, you saw part 1 of our interview with Flynn Clarke. It's now time for part 2. Well, Flynn, we were talking in part 1 about impressing the gaffer and a pathway and all that kind of stuff. And when I spoke to you after you scored your professional goal, you were talking about those sacrifices because particularly this year, it's so different to any other year. You really had to put the work in during that close season.
Yeah, of course, obviously, being in lockdown and everything, you just got to make sure that you don't lack your standards and you keep your standards high, making sure that you keep improving as much as you can. Obviously, it's going to be difficult, but you just got to try and improve as much as you can.
Is that discipline something that you feel you have within you, or is that something that you sort of been helped upon you because of the family and obviously the people around you?
Yeah, obviously I like to see discipline as one of my key values. So as much as obviously my family helped to motivate me a lot, in fact, all through my years playing football, but especially through lockdown, my family helped to motivate me a lot. But I also like to think that I motivate myself as well because I know where I want to be when I'm older.
Was that something that you did within the youth team as well? Were you that sort of person that was saying to Ricky or Harris or whoever it was you were playing with that you really needed to make sure that off the pitch you're just as good as what you are on?
Yeah, of course. Obviously, you've got to act like you're professional on and off the pitch. Obviously, even if you're wearing the badge or not, people are going to know who you are. So every day you're representing the club. So even when you're outside of the training ground, you just got to make sure your standards are high.
Obviously, you've progressed through the academy just like so many of the others. Ricky obviously tells the story of when he was a ball boy, when he was a kid. Did you not get an opportunity?
No, yeah, I was a ball boy, obviously coming through the ranks, obviously being a youth team player and under 16s and all that. Obviously now obviously being in the first team is quite overwhelming because it just feels like it was just yesterday when I was a ball boy, but yeah.
Did you do it quite often then? You're part of that group?
Yeah, all the home games, and obviously I was always there watching. Yeah. Did
you feel because it was interesting speaking to Ricky, and obviously as you say, it is surreal that you can go from a ball boy to playing in the first team at the same club in such a short space of time. But were you someone that as a ball boy you were actually watching facets of the game, part of how things were going rather than where the ball was going and where the ball was
obviously I was watching obviously the players in my position or the positions I was playing at the time, obviously trying to help improve my game. Obviously, as much as I was just watching the game and enjoying the game.
In terms of growing up through the academy, obviously you would have had tough times as well as good times. Was there ever a time where you just wanted to play with your mates, or did you feel like this was always sort of your destiny, if you like, to try and progress through an academy system?
Yeah, I've obviously, it's nice playing with your mates and that, but I've always wanted to be in a professional environment. Always know that I want to be at the top when I'm older. So I knew that was a sacrifice I had to make. And obviously you go through some hard times, obviously like injuries and all that. But obviously you just got to try and kick on.
Yeah, when you're injured, because you had such a difficult injury to sort of come back from, at a time whereby you getting to the point of trying to impress the first team manager.
Yeah.
How difficult was that, and how important was it that people around you were supportive?
Yeah, obviously it was very mentally difficult for me. Obviously at the time where I literally couldn't do anything, weren't allowed to kick a ball, weren't allowed to run or anything. Obviously that's when family played a massive part for me. Obviously my mum, my dad, my brother, just everyone around me helped me. Even around the club, like they try to do as much as they can, and I'm thankful for everything they've done. But yeah, obviously once I got back and everything, that's when I knew that it's my time to kick on now. Obviously I didn't take no breaks, extras every day, so yeah.
Yeah, did it put it in context a little bit? Because you can work so hard through academy and play well and impress, and then suddenly like that, an injury can really curtail it, and then it's down to you to bounce back.
Yeah, of course, obviously it's a massive kick in the teeth really. Obviously I was at my peak at the time, and once I got injured I was out for 4 to 5 months, so I went straight back down, and mentally I was down as well, and it was difficult to get back up to where I was before I got injured. But obviously that's part of the learning process, obviously trying to get there, and obviously the help of people around me as well.
Yeah, the agency you're with, obviously Mark Arbour is someone who obviously well known at the football club, because he's a defender here. Is it nice to a certain extent having someone that has gone through a career to be able to give you that step of advice whereby, you know, they're actually telling you things that are happening because they've gone through it themselves?
Yeah, of course, obviously they've been in the game themselves, so the advice that they give you, you know that obviously they're not going to be lying to you. Like they've been there themselves, so it's good that I'm listening to him and everything and the advice he gives me, and yeah, thankful for it.
And in terms of your family, obviously have got a footballing background as well. Has that been a help or a hindrance in terms of, is there extra pressure on you potentially?
No, there's no pressure, but obviously that's my goal in life, obviously, to be best in the family, obviously. But yeah, that's what helps motivates me the most, obviously being my dad being in football, obviously my uncle and everything, yeah.
Well, welcome back to the Western Home Stadium for the pre-match show in association with Mick George. That was part 2 of our interview with Flynn Clarke, who's been called up to the Scotland U19 squad for friendly games at St George's Park against England. He goes away after Tuesday night's game with Fulham in the EFL Trophy. It's now time for a word from some of our sponsors. Hello, welcome back to the pre-match show in association with Mick George. Before we move on, just to let you know, the under-18s were due to play Leyton Orient this morning. That game was postponed due to the obvious coronavirus restrictions at Orient at this moment in time. So Matthew Etherington's side didn't have a game this morning. They play next weekend. Obviously, we're going to give you a run through of the team lineup a little bit later on, but it's important that we go through the steps of how you can watch today's game on iFollow. Now, match passes are available for £10. You can go to the club website, which is theposh.com, and follow the instructions there. Season ticket holders, of course, will be been sent a code this week. If you've yet to find it, have a look in your junk, make sure it hasn't slipped in there. If you've got any problems, email iFollow@theposh.com. But to follow the instructions we put together, a handy guide. And here it is. This guide will help you purchase a match pass or redeem a code for iFollow to enable you to watch our game live through our website. Head to the iFollow section on the menu at the top of the website and click on subscribe. Select your chosen package. For a video match pass, click on check availability, click on subscribe now. Or if you're on a mobile, scroll down to match passes and click on subscribe for the relevant match. At this stage, if you already have an iFollow account, log in. If you do not have an account, please create an account. It's worth noting that your iFollow account is a separate account to your ticketing and shop account. Once logged in, you'll be asked to enter your payment information to purchase your match pass. If you are redeeming a code, enter this into the box and apply voucher code. You will still need to enter payment information if you are redeeming a code, however you will not be charged. When you have successfully purchased your pass, around an hour before kick-off, head to the iFollow section and click on Next Match. The link to watch live will be available here. If you have any issues logging into your iFollow account, please email ifollow@dfl.com. If you have any other issues, please contact the club on ifollow@theposh.com or telephone 01733 865 674. This is the pre-match show in association with Mick George. My name is Phil Adlam, and I hope you've enjoyed today's show. Of course, we did have some technical issues at the start of the show, where unless you were a lip reader, you wouldn't have heard anything with our interview with Darren Ferguson. I thought I'd just keep it going, just in the hope that it would connect and it would work, but obviously it didn't. So many apologies for that. In terms of the team selection for today's game with Swindon Town, you can see just below here, the team is scrolling across the screen right now. It's one change from the 1-0 defeat to Sunderland, with Joe Ward coming in at what we think will be right wing back. I don't want to preempt the manager's formation like I did last week, but he's in for Ryan Broom, and we expect to be playing the same system with the same personnel. Other than that, in terms of the substitutes bench, Harrison Burrows gets the nod over Flynn Clarke, which continues our wonderful record on this show of having interviews pre-recorded and then those players not being involved in the 18 come match day. But hey, that just shows we know nothing when it comes to the team lineup. Now, of course, iFollow, you've seen how to log in. iFollow passes still available for £10. You can get your pass by going to the club website, which is theposh.com, and following all of the instructions there. Season ticket holders, as I said earlier, will have received a code. Just pop that code in and you can watch the game with the Robins today. Now, Swindon Town, of course, have got a former Peterborough United player in their lineup in Anthony Grant. He starts for them today. They, of course, are managed by Richie Wellens, who was in manager Darren Ferguson's side at Doncaster Rovers. So there's a little few connections going on between the two sides today. Kickoff is at 3 p.m. And of course, if you can't or don't want to watch the game on iFollow, we'll keep you up to date on Twitter via @PoshMatchLive with all of the goal graphics, of course, hopefully, fingers crossed, on the Posh official today. Just to mention, of course, about Match Day Madness, which I mentioned a little bit earlier on in the show. You can get 15% off winter warmers in the online store till midnight tonight. Get yourself online at theposhoNlineStore.com. Hats, scarves, anything that you could consider winter, you'll be able to get hold of. Probably gloves, actually, come to think of it, as we move into the winter months. It's incredible to be thinking that we are, in October now, and we've only played 3 or 4 games of the season so far. And hopefully today we can get the victory against Swindon Town, and in the process, hopefully, score our 4,000th league goal. Remember, keep up to date on iFollow, watch the game there. If you want to get involved, use the hashtag PETSWI on Twitter. And please let us know what you think about the show, aside from, of course, those audio problems we had earlier on. Anything you want to see, interviews that you think that we can do throughout the week, any live spots that we can do, please get in touch. jake.baxter@theposh.com, and we'll probably put them into fruition for the next pre-match show. There won't be one on Tuesday night. Of course, it is EFL Trophy action against Fulham under-21s. That kicks off at 6 p.m, not 7 p.m. There is a kick-off change. 6 p.m. for our second group game of the EFL Trophy. Full details about how you can get involved in watching that game will be available on the club website over the next few days. Today's commentary is provided by Peter Swan, Edwin Overland and Ben Stevenson on BBC Radio Cambridgeshire through iFollow and at 95.7 FM. And Gabby Zakwani, fresh from his retirement, will be co-commentating on Tuesday night for that game against Fulham, which of course is his former club, as of course is today's opponents, Swindon Town. Posh Pre-Match Show versus Swindon, kick off at 3 p.m. Let's get at it.